Insecurity remains the most dominant subject in the parliament as lawmakers are increasingly worried over the spate of insecurity in the country. In the upper house, senators call for the shutdown of the National Assembly over rising insecurity. In the lower house, reps asked President Buhari to declare a state of emergency on security. Again, legislative aides protest over unpaid salaries. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am ADEYEMI. It was a day of fury and emotions when senators continued what has become a regular outcry over the worsening spate of insecurity and the seeming failure of the federal government to secure lives and property. This time, they switched it up a notch higher by calling for the shutdown of the National Assembly. Clearly, political party affiliations didn't matter when lawmakers collectively put the blame where it should be. Senator Smart ADEYEMI was also moved to tears when he joined other lawmakers to give out his own lamentation that is now becoming a familiar sound on the floor of the parliament.
Boko Haram terrorists in Shiroro, Munya, and Rafi local government areas of Niger State, which has taken a dangerous dimension and requires urgent need for federal government to deploy troops and other security apparatus to immediately bring an end to the menace of this insurgency and terrorism in Niger State and other parts of Nigeria. Note that in this hallowed chamber, we have made several resolutions, set up ad hoc committee on security, and declared every support at bringing an end to the persistent insecurity in our nation. We have appropriated budgets and also advances numerous steps to support our nation's security agencies. Yet insecurity has continued to elude the nation. Almost 7 years now, Niger East Senatorial District of Niger State have come under constant and sustained multiple attacks, deadly attacks by these heartless, venomous, and hydra-headed Boko Haram terrorists and insurgents who are always heavily armed with assorted, sophisticated, and dangerous weapons, unleashing their horror on our innocent populace.
Nigerians cannot continue to bear this pain of our women being raped, our women being forcibly married to Boko Haram terrorists. We cannot continue to allow Boko Haram to mount flags in Nigerian territory. What is our army doing? What are all security agencies doing? The situation has become so shameful that a great country like Nigeria will be in this type of terrible situation.
When the government cannot maintain security again, economic problem is mounting, then something drastic must be done. The Senate must do its work. We have the power. We can install, we can remove. If it means we have to look at that clause, we have to sit down and talk in executive meeting and harmonize and do it the way we should do it. If not, one day we will sit down here. One small boy will carry AK-47, everybody will run away, and some of us who could be able to use a Amotekun clause, we can run away. But few of us may not be lucky.
Very soon, there will be no school in this country. Because if you look at it, the education sector is the one that is being targeted now. Look at what has happened in Greenfield University in Kaduna. Look at what has happened in a school in Benue yesterday. So you discover that these things are becoming more and more on a daily basis. And we keep saying the same thing, meanwhile, no result. Nothing is happening.
Only recently, Mr. President, we saw Nigeria giving men out on peacekeeping to other countries, when in fact we cannot keep peace in our own. Mr. President, recently as a parent, we saw 3 students who were slaughtered after being kidnapped. They were sent to school to go and read. Only yesterday, 2 more were slaughtered. What are we doing? The bloodletting is just impossible.
The president must rise to the occasion. You will not see the truth and you are afraid to say it because you will die. We must open, Mr. President. The nation is on fire. The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation. This is my position, Mr. President. We must rise to it. They are killing people in the east, in the west, in the south, in the north. We should shut down the National Assembly. Let's shut down. If we cannot save this country, we stay in our homes. Our country is bleeding. People are in poverty. There's no food. People are hungry. Insecurity is threatening us. We cannot pretend. It's better we are not here. Than to not see that here. People are dying. Every day Nigerians are dying. We must rise to the occasion.
The House of Representatives was even more daring with its resolutions on insecurity. They called for the declaration of a state of emergency, while some lawmakers insist the president should not hesitate to seek foreign assistance for a problem that has defied all solutions thrown at it. The Speaker of the lower legislative house inaugurated a 40-man committee on security to brainstorm and find the solution to the worsening situation in the country. The committee will also hold a 4-day security summit in May.
We're all aware of the prevailing circumstances, the prevailing realities and situation in our country today, which has been so for some time. It has now come to a head, to a point where this House, sitting and deliberating, the leadership felt we had no alternative but to set up this committee to begin to look into ways on how to address and tackle the situation where we find ourselves. And it is in the context of these prevailing realities that the House of Representatives has appointed this special committee to undertake a comprehensive study of the issues and challenges of our national security from the perspective of the legislature.
The Senate's Committee on Army wants the Minister of Finance to explain military funding over the years. Chairman of the committee, Senator Ali Ndume, says the Army has complained of a shortfall of 50 billion naira, and this is likely to negatively impact the activities in the theater of operation. The committee also called on the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atairu, and the Director General of the Budget Office, Mr. Ben Akabwezi, to appear before it on Tuesday.
That explanation, I don't know what it is. As long as the minister is in town, for her to disregard this our invitation, which is not an invitation by Mohammed Ali Ndume, but by the Senate to discuss the matter that every Nigerian is concerned about. I'm sure if she's not safe, she would be here. But they always think that they are safe because they have this security apparatus around them that will personally take care of their security, while in her state, in Kaduna, today, more than 50 people are still in the hands of captives. If to say her child or her brother or somebody related is among those that are there, I'm sure she will be here. So get that back to the minister. This information will collect from you, but will give us another date for her to come here.
We'll take a short break. When we return, I will tell you a story of legislative aides protesting against unpaid salaries. I will sit down with the leader of the concerned legislative aides to shed more light on the issue.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year TVC News is the station of choice for news that...
And when you can't watch us, listen to us. 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja are now ranked among the most listened to radio stations in Nigeria.
In Lagos, TVC, our leading family entertainment TV channel, has a 47% market share. But this is just the start of our journey, as we plan to add even more services to entertain and inform our ever-growing audience. Thanks for being part of the TVC communications story.
Welcome back. Legislative activity in the National Assembly was temporarily halted when legislative aides decided to go on a peaceful demonstration to demand their unpaid salaries and also the immediate implementation of consolidated salary structure, duty to allowance, and other issues. They say the 2019 salaries owed them is between 4 and 7 months. They have also vowed to sustain the protest until their demands are met.
It is so sad and unfortunate that after 2 weeks that we came here to protest and we were addressed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who admitted that it is inexcusable to owe workers ages for 22 months. We are back here because these demands are not yet made. And we have it in good authority that these salary arrears of 2019 were duly appropriated and released on first line charge by Ministry of Finance. Unfortunately, what the management of National Assembly is telling us is that this money is no more there. The question now is, what happens to the money that was released for this purpose? Is it true that this money has been embezzled or misappropriated? We don't know what it is. So we are back here and we will not leave this place until our arrears and other entitlements are made. That is why we are here.
Joining us on the Hallowed Chambers today is Mr. Lawson Oviasoge, and he's the leader of the concerned legislative aides at the National Assembly. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So it's been twice in 2 weeks that legislative aides have staged a protest in the National Assembly. Can you tell us what informed this protest?
Okay, there are a series of issues, welfare issues we are dealing with, but as it is, we are taking in one after the other. Primarily, our major concern right now is the issue of salary arrears that is being owed our colleagues, legislative aides attached to lawmakers in the National Assembly. Since 2019, this National Assembly resumed on the 11th of June 2019, and about 50%, and that is a conservative estimate, of aides are owed salary arrears ranging from between 3 months to 6 months. And we have tried all means to bring this plight to the attention of lawmakers and other stakeholders within the institution. But it seems as if our local initiative is not yielding the desired fruit. So that's why we decided to stage we'll call it a mass rally to bring the attention of the world to the seeming impunity going on in the National Assembly. Now, you will recall that when we did the protest 2 weeks ago, we gave 2 weeks notice. That was because the Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable FEMI GBAJABIAMILA, gave us some assurances that we are going to work on it. But it does appear as the leadership is making efforts to resolve this issue. The CNA, who is the Chief Accounting Officer, the CNA is the clerk to the National Assembly, who is the Chief Accounting Officer of the National Assembly, has refused to toe the line of honor. Now, these issues have been on since 2019. It's just 2 months shy of 2 years. And we have taken steps. As a matter of fact, I have before me a motion that was raised on the floor on the 17th of March 2020 by Honorable Bamdele Salam from Ejigbo. The motion was read, and an ad hoc committee was set up, led by Honorable Wale Raji from Ekpe. And a year after, on the 17th of March this year, the House met and resolved that the CNA should liaise with the Commission Chairman to ensure that this money was paid. And March till now is about 2 months, or more than a month, and nothing has been done. And we felt it is disrespectful. It is unbecoming of a public servant to hold the whole National Assembly to ransom. And why our argument is very compelling is because we know that these monies were appropriated for and were released. So the budget is a law.
But aside this protest, are there other, efforts you've put in to ensure that, okay, your voice is being heard as the leader of this association?
What we are trying to do is to ensure that we do not bring into disrepute the integrity and the name of the National Assembly. So we've tried all means to ensure that we localize the issues. We have other intentions. For instance, we could go to human rights radios. Other aides have impressed it upon us to try and see if we can even go to the ECOWAS court and raise issues of discrimination, why some are paid and some are not paid. Others have thought about writing petitions to EFCC, ICPC, and other anti-graft agencies. But as people who are at the forefront of all of these things, we are trying to manage the reputation of the National Assembly. That is why we have tried to make it just within the institution, trying to take advantage of the internal dispute resolution mechanism. And we have done all of that. We have written, I have documents here, we have written to the Senate President, we have written to the Speaker. And like I just told you, there was a motion that was raised on the floor, adopted and agreed upon. The documents are all here to show. And like I said before, these monies were released to the National Assembly. Now the question is, why are they not paying? Now if they said the money is not available, the question is what happened to the money that was allocated? Now remember that nobody, not even the President, has the right to move funds from one line item to another without vehement. If you are going to move money from maybe the legislative account to another account, you have to pass through vehement. That was not done. So what is happening right now, if the money is not available to pay, is called misappropriation, which is a direct breach of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. So a lot of infractions are going on.
But what are the feelers you are getting from those in charge of dispersing these funds? Is it a shortage, perhaps? They didn't get the complete funds to settle all, the legislative aids, or it's just a deliberate delay?
I'll prefer to go with your last thoughts. It's clear. We have information to the effect. As a matter of fact, the Secretary of Finance and Administration and the CNA had at various fora admitted that the funds were released and were available. And that what they needed was the authority. That was the word they used to pay. Because he said he wants to be covered in case external auditors come to check the books of National Assembly. And we got the authority through that motion that was adopted. It was after we got that the tune now changed, that the money was not available. So the feelers, and I say this with all sense of modesty and some sense of certainty, is that this money has been misapplied towards the wrong direction. We have written to the Ministry of Finance requesting for releases made to National Assembly from 2019 to date. We want these books to be opened so that we can know if the money is in the Ministry of Finance, we go there and meet them, we make our rapprochements to them. But we know, as a matter of fact, that this money, we are on first line charge. These are salaries, not allowances. You get the point. These are salaries.
So aside the backlog of salaries and allowances, are there other issues?
It will surprise you to know, and I can say this with all emphasis, for free, that National Assembly legislative aides are the only public workers who are not enjoying any sort of allowances apart from their salaries. I've been here since 2011. This is my 9th year in the National Assembly. And when I came in 2011, there's what they call quarterly DTA. It is called duty tour allowance. And the logic behind those who initiated the fund was that aides follow their principals to their constituencies. And they incur, you know how it is, the impression they have that, oh, National Assembly, that is where all the money is. So when they go home, they incur expenses. They are under enormous financial, stress. So they give them 75,000 naira every three months, quarterly, for other cadre from the LA1 to the PA, and they give 100,000 naira to the SLAs, which is the senior legislative aid. That was the norm throughout the 7th Assembly. Then the 8th Assembly, the former CNA, Omolori, scrapped it. So moto on his own, he stopped. Trainings have practically stopped. As I speak to you right now, the 5 aides attached to each lawmaker, none has a working equipment, not even a laptop to work with, presented by the National Assembly. Now there's what they call minimum wage. It's a federal government directive. It's like a law. Other agencies, the executives are already enjoying it. Judiciary staffs are enjoying it. The National Assembly, we have not received one minimum wage. That is what has been approved since last year. Other agencies are talking about backlog. We have never received one. Now, there is the issue of what they call CONLES. CONLES is what is a consolidated salary structure of legislative aids. During the Saraki era, they met and resolved that they should pay us our CONLES. Now, the CNA, the predecessor, not this incumbent, paid staff 50% of that CONLES. And as we speak today, aids are on 22%. And those are the discriminations we are talking about, where you have workers working in the same institutions, and you are using different templates to pay them their allowances. As we speak right now, I'm in level 15, step 9 aids in the National Assembly. My contemporary, who is a staff, is probably an assistant director. And I can tell you that our salaries are different. So those are some of the backgrounds, those are some of the issues we wanted to even go to court for the court, maybe the National Industrial Court, or even the ECOWAS Court, to understand why such discrimination applies in a place where they're supposed to serve as the bedrock of democracy.
All right, so with all these points you've noted down and all your grievances, what's the body language of the management?
The management is obviously at a crossroads. They probably don't expect this level of pressure from us. It was the norm in the 8th Assembly, so they probably felt they could go on. But years of deprivation, years of suffering and oppression has radicalized aids, and they have come out to ask these questions. Now, for the management, this CNA has a peculiar method of management. He does not talk to us. He does not talk to us, does not communicate, he does not make disclosure. Sometimes, when people are aggrieved, the way you address them, can help in assuaging the grievances. But he doesn't even talk to us. And
have you made yourself available for
we have an ESCO, former ESCO, and they've met with him severally. At some point, he will say we should give him time. At some point, he will say the money is not available. And the question that needs to be answered is, what happened? That is our area of interest, because this is symbolic. It's not just about the money being paid, but sending the message that you don't just behave as a public office holder. There are expectations. You don't behave in an irresponsible manner. There are certain standards you are supposed to live up to. That's why we have certain agencies that are supposed to ensure that you perform in such manners. So the CNA needs to tell us what happened to the money. We need to know there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved. But the most important thing is that people whose money has been given to you, to be the custodian, because you are the chief accounting officer of National Assembly. The Senate President might be the chairman of National Assembly. He's the administrative head. So he's the political head. The administrative head of National Assembly is the clerk to the National Assembly. And when the money comes, it comes into his possession.
We understand that the House of Representatives has intervened in this matter. What level of involvement has this gotten to?
What bigger intent can they show than on the floor of plenary passing a direct instruction to the CNA to pay this money? It is here. It said that the National Assembly should pay this money. It is here, in black and white. That the National Assembly Service Commission should direct the management of National Assembly to pay all the legislative aid allowances for the first 28 days and arrears of unpaid salaries, with effect from the date of assumption of office, as confirmed by their principals. There's a direct recommendation 1. The recommendation 2 is that based on the fact that adequate budgetary provisions were made in 2019 and 2020 budgets, and funds were released on first-line charges for the payment of these arrears and salaries, the single senators and members, with their respect, should make sure that these monies are paid. They are here in black and white. These are legislative instruments from the House of Reps. So there's nothing. This is
since what time?
This was passed on the 17th of March, 2021. Okay. That's why a month ago. So it was clear. So there's nothing the Speaker will say that would supersede this. This is almost like a law. Motions are very persuasive.
All right. So now, if you should wrap it up in a nutshell, what are your grievances? How do you want them addressed? And, what do you really want to, what is the information you want out there?
For starters, the allowances, the salaries of aides that has been due since 2019, old aid, should be paid as soon as possible. If that is not paid, we can assure them that this matter will not rest. In fact, there is a standing instruction to all aides that every Wednesday has been declared as Black Wednesday. We continue to protest on every Wednesdays to draw the world's attention to this. That is one. Then two, other issues of discrimination against aides, the disrespect, the disdain with which the management treats aides has to stop. Because they say charity begins at home. You cannot, lawmakers cannot go and oversee other agencies, so they cannot oversee the affairs in their own institution. So those are the messages you want to pass across. That one of these overdue, embarrassing issues of these areas has to be solved once and for all. Then from there, we move on to other issues of the minimum wage, the CONLES, trainings, and DTAs. But we are taking it one step at a time. So that's it. The issue, the message out there is that aides are resolved, that we are going to pursue this issue using all legitimate means to ensure that aides gains the respect and the dignity they deserve. Every laborer is worthy of his wages. These are the messages we are passing across to them, that we are committed to. It doesn't even have to be me. Somebody else could be the next person here next time. It's about an ideal that is planted in our minds that, look, we cannot be working in a place where we are treated with utter disregard. We cannot be in a place where people trample on the constitutions. We cannot be in a place where public servants treat, in public institutions, treat it as if it's their personal fiefdom, as if it's their personal property to treat the way they like. Impunity is what we talk about. A lot of people think that corruption is a major problem, but it is impunity that actually fuels corruption. When you can do things and get away with it. It baffles me that the House of Reps, elected lawmakers with constituents, can pass a motion mandating a civil servant to act in a certain manner, and they will flout it. There has to be consequence for such irresponsible behaviors. So for starters, number one thing, the major issue is this issue of this salary arrears that has to be paid. Once that is done, other issues would follow, as stated.
And do we hope to see any meeting with management? Are there any planned meetings whatsoever?
Usually we've met. Usually it's about the intentions, the commitment, and the sincerity. The last time we met, they had a resolution. By the time the communique was coming out, what came out was different from what they agreed at the meeting. So it's about sincerity of purpose. The last protest we had 2 days ago, the SANI said they wanted to meet us. They said, no, you should come down and speak to us. We don't want to speak one-on-one. Let him come and talk to the people he's heading. He refused. That is the level of impunity and level of arrogance that is the hallmark of his administration.
That is all on our program this week. Join us again next week for fresh updates on matters arising on the floor of the Parliament. We'll also tell you how it affects you. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @TJSU Adeoye TVC. Thank you for watching. See you next time.